Hey guys, I know I'm late. My cat is and he won't stop meowing, so I had to close him out. So if you hear him during this, my bad. Listen, as the intro says, I never really know what I'm gonna say, but I know this. I've been building my TikTok lately, and to I just scroll through other people's feeds, and it's very concerning what I'm seeing out there, based on my life after death, in the meeting with the Creator, and how much in society is being promoted, which is the complete opposite as to what is really going on in the world. And what am I talking about, you guys? It's the Satan's world is upside down. And when I stood in my life after life, that's what was explained to me, is the world that we live in currently is temporary and it was designed by Satan. Um, if there was such a thing, being that the Creator is the one in ultimate control. It's the life force, the evil life force. But anyway, what I was seeing on TikTok was a lot of people who are out there, like, you'll be scrolling through and they'll be talking about John 3:16 and anxiety and don't you feel and turn to the Lord and like all these crazy things. And it's like watching a scary movie when you're looking at them, and you have to wonder deep within yourself what they're promoting and why, because as we've discussed, Creator does not instill fear. He is love, and so it doesn't work that way. And so, as I've been trying to promote and talk about, slowly but surely, as a former Christian believer, when I stood in my life after life in 2010, and then was made to recall those things in 2020, one of the things that was explained to me by the Creator, was that the John 3:16 was professing on a false idol, and it was the real legions. Think about the word religion, real legion. Okay, it was their way to separate us from our divinity, from our Creator, giving us His divine spark. And so that was to teach that there was a mediator that was needed in between, and then that you would have to speak the words of John 3:16. So again, going through TikTok, it's I don't get scared, but I don't want other people to be scared, of the forcefulness and the anxiety that the others, let's just call them the others, that they try to promote. You guys, that's the other thing. There's people out there talking about their life after life, and they describe all these beauty and these lights and this and that. And I'm not trying to take anything from anybody. People probably wake up during surgery and see who knows what, but I know what I know. And the fact that when I stood there, the one the world knows as Prince Rogers Nelson exposed to me that he was the Creator, that he was of somehow, some way. I don't really understand the whole alien aspect of it, but by being alien and foreign to what we know, that's why I would say I live in the world, but I'm not of it. That's what I say too. And the the reason I think that why that's so hard for people to believe is because of the way that Christianity, and I'm only speaking on Christianity, because that's the only other religion I know. So, but all the other ones are religions as well, because they all teach that you need the Jesus guy to be a mediator for you, and that you have to profess the words of John 3:16 to be a saved soul. Pardon me. Um, However, again, when I stood in the afterlife, and I, as a Christian person at that time, said I was going to be sent like to hell, to the best of my recollection, and I was like, no, 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 no. There was some discussion that I would have to wait for Redemption Day to be judged. I threw this big hissy fit. I based on the knowledge that I was able to share with the others when I was in the heavenly place. They knew that my soul was somebody other than I knew it to be. I passed a lot of tests, and eventually, you guys, what I'm saying is I got to meet the Creator, and what He exposed to me was not only like, ta-da, here I am, I'm Prince. It wasn't like that. It was our memories, our intellectual property, our soul is eternal. And when you leave your body and you go to that eternal place, at least I did, um, you have to. I stood accountable that day. And I fought for the things that I believed in. I fought about how I didn't have time to read the Bible and study certain things because I had kids and I was a working mom and I was busy. Like, we talked about everything, and I fought to get what, from what I understand from my Rabbi Rev drawer, that what I remember is that I was literally with angels, you guys. We were like fighting about the Torah information, this Kabbalistic information that I talk about on my channel also. Um, because I'm a human being and I was in this otherworldly space place, the angels didn't want me to have this information to bring to the world because they didn't think that we were worthy. They didn't think that we could handle it. Our egos are too big. We tend not to accept change very well, but one of the best things you can do for yourself is to be adaptable. And it's time to adapt to goodness and righteousness, of course. So it's a good move. Anyway, you guys, the whole concept of God has been sold wrong in this world. Elton John will sing, in the one song, Daniel or whatever it is, handing tickets out for God. It's like making a genie in a bottle. They sold God in a way, and when I say they, I mean the Roman Emperor Constantine, with the prefix con, C-O-N, Constantine, who first introduced the Christian Bible, New Testament, in 1611, and forcefully killed people to believe what he believed, and then basically did away with the Old Testament. In Christian teachings anyway. When you go to a Christian church, they hand you a Bible and say, here, start in the New Testament. The Old Testament is too much. Just start baby steps. The meat and potatoes will come later. But what they don't want you to do is go to the Old Testament, read the first 5 books, and understand that those people that they were talking about, there's a reason that they lived for 900 years. You know what I mean? They're not talking about human beings the way that we see each other and the way that we know each other to be. They're talking about otherworldly beings who I met. And now we're in a different time, and we are as far away from that goodness and light in the beginning that we can possibly be. I always say that if you go to the ice cream truck and you get one of those cones with a little gumball in the bottom, the earth and where humankind is now, we're very low. It's like sinking in quicksand, and we're at the bottom. And so the whole plan was to sell the world that they had a Jesus guy off there waiting for them. The MK Ultra plan, I have to kind of go back and forth with this so that it's really hard to do this on the fly. So bear with me. The concept of God and the reality of the way that the Bible was changed, the world tends to think about God, Hashem, as a big old white dude in the sky with a beard, and as sort of human. And when you take that, and that's the way they wanted you to think of it, because that's this is just my take on it. I'm not saying this is factual and actual. This is just Elizabeth's take, that by putting this man, Jesus, in the middle, not only does it separate you from the creator by putting your beliefs on a false idol, it chains you. It chains you to making you think that you have to be a certain kind of person, and you have to fulfill these, going to church on Sunday and putting this much money in the suits and the wearing and doing all that stuff. You guys, the whole Christian thing is like a satanic thing, is what it is. It's an occult thing. And there's a lot of people that won't like me saying that, but it's the truth. It's again, the Joel Osteens, the TD Jakes, that I'm not saying those people are bad people. I don't know them. And what I mean is there's a lot of people in place that I'm getting excited. Let me slow down. The creator is otherworldly, and he is very much in control of what is going on. He's able to show himself as anything that he wants to. So it wasn't just Prince Rogers Nelson, you guys. It wasn't. This is so hard, so bear with me. what he explained to me was that concept of the big old white dude, people thinking that that's what God was. And the angels were saying that people couldn't accept that there was more of an alien aspect to it that would be too much for us to handle, because basically humans, though we were created of love, I think we were created for a specific purpose, and that is to be some sort of energy source for the others or something. I'm not sure. But also, on a lighter and more positive note, uh, our ultimate goal is to become vessels for the Creator. Because He gave us His own divine DNA spark, His ultimate goal is to create a place in you in which He can dwell. He has done that with me. So He is using me as that vessel and that tool. And what I'm trying to tell you guys is, you're not going to get in touch with your Creator by claiming on a false idol that was created by a man named Constantine and forced down humanity's throats as Jesus. It's I just want to say again, with all compassion, you guys, there's people who read their little Bibles to their kids before they go to bed. Maybe, I don't know, they put them in the nursery school at church on Sunday, and they think that everything's going to be okay. And, everybody's like under this spell. And it is as big as I'm saying. It's like a sleep. It's like a lull. It's like in Genesis 2:21, when sleep was cast on the man. It's like a hypnosis that we're all under, because we've been force fed this same information, the same lullaby, the same rockabye, the same Mother Goose. It's ingrained, it's indoctrination, it's instilled. But when I stood there in the life after life, the Creator told me that that was non-existent, and it was creating a false idol and believing on a false idol, because the satanic plan is to separate us souls, human beings, from our very Creator, who we can be in touch with through prayer and hitbadadut, which is what it's called in Judaism. Hitbadadut. It's just talking to the Creator like your very best friend. I didn't just wake up one day and try to be Jewish, you guys. I've said before, I grew up in a household where the name God or Jesus wasn't mentioned unless my dad was writing his name as God on his Yahtzee card. Other than that, I came to discover Christianity when I was in jail for 15 days for my second truck driving in 2 years. I had 3 little girls. When somebody came in talking about the Bible, I was like, ooh, let me get some of that. Let me get some, So I said the words. I got my family baptized. I chased the messages. I went to every kind of church there is, you guys. I went to the Kingdom Hall. I went to Catholic churches. I went to Christian churches. I took me and my 3 Caucasian appearing girls into a church that was completely all African American, Black people, whatever you want to call it, because I felt a little bit of spirit there. I have done my research, but the point is, I've said some of this before, but I came to know the things of Judaism through my research. In 2013, the Tree of Life and Kabbalah and different books, Taming Chaos, things like that started to be shown to me, and I studied them, and I would go out and pray and meditate with the stars and talk to the Creator. Listen, my family had all moved out. I had empty nest syndrome. This was like 2013, I think. And because there was 4 of them, and they had all moved out except for the younger one. And then they all moved back in. So I was going kind of nutso at the time. So I was reading my Bible and doing this. I went up and sat at the pool in knee deep snow on a chair, because I'm going to share it with you. I literally wanted to like put my head through a plate glass window that day, but I prayed. I just was like, no, enemy create. You're not going to get me. I'm going to go talk to my Creator. So I was always led by the harshness of my life to go talk to the Creator. And that's the other thing, you guys, is people think, woe is me, I have all this pain. And it is woe is us, because we are all in pain. And I have the sympathy, but you're going to be in that pain until you take it to the Creator, until you talk to Him, until you share it with Him, because it's something that is indescribable. It's why I'm willing to come. It's one of the reasons I'm willing to come and put myself out there, because I'm not here to say, look at me, look what I have. I'm here to tell you guys so that you can have it too, because my plight is real, man. I was looking for God. I took my pool, I took my Bible to the pool. I highlighted, I shared it with my kids. My son would get in little verbal arguments with his friends outside about, Mom, show him in the Bible, show him where Jesus is real. And like I said, I believed on that at a time. And they would, and and that's, I never Bible thumped, and I still don't remember scripture because I have way too much in my head. But um I tried to teach what I knew at the time, which is what I'm trying to do now. Now, because another thing that, again, without being redundant and repeating, you guys, when I died in 2010, blanked out, it was over, didn't remember anything about it, went back to my life. We're not going to go there right now. But the point is, I didn't remember anything about my life after life until the spring of 2020. March, April of 2020, just lollygagging through life after some awakenings that I had in Maui in 2019. And in the spring of 2020, it was like I watched the whole world around me go to sleep, but I woke up. And I don't mean that to be insulting. I'm just saying that all this awareness that started coming to me, all this Hebrew knowledge, all this Kabbalah, all the strange writing that I've tried to share with you guys on the videos, I now know that it was the Creator speaking to me, introducing himself to me in only a way that could only be done the way that we did it. It's not going there in full explanation right now, but in the beginning, well, in spring 2020, in spring 2020, you guys, I felt like this energy come upon me. And that's like my white prince coat. Anyway, I would wear this all the time, and I was learning how to play Purple Rain. I was being shown how to sometimes read Hebrew. I was being shown how to read backwards and upside down. I was writing backwards and upside down. I was contemplating Prince lyrics and writing them backwards and upside down, and they were blending with my son's name, my name. It was blending with information from Maui, and I was like, what in the heck is going on? And because I had got to know Hashem in my prayer time and listened to that inner voice in the past, I knew when all of these things started happening that it wasn't anything bad. I had this notion to just explore. I was like compelled to explore, and that's all I wanted to do, because I knew that the writing wasn't me, it was him, and he was trying to teach me or tell me things. It was like telepathy and all kinds of weird visions and stuff. And for those that haven't seen the videos, in the awakening of 2020, I went like during this 40-day period, I may have slept altogether a total of, I don't know, not very many hours. I barely ate. And it's like the song Possessed, if you're so inclined to know it. I didn't realize there's someone in my body. It's more of a mental thing. And then, so for the last 2.5 years, you guys, after the writing started happening, the lyrics, and I made all kinds of videos. There was like this electric storm in the spring of 2020 where I could feel that the world was changing. We were all on COVID lockdown. It was really intense. Sometimes I want to share the videos, but they're slightly embarrassing because, like, I stood in this lightning storm talking about, well, I said the Lord's Prayer, and then I said, can't you feel it? The lightning is coming from all around us. And I could feel that something very intense was coming onto the world. And it was, you guys. What I was experiencing, I'm sorry, what I was experiencing at that time was not only all those revelations, the investigation. I became aware that the investigation was available online, the 214 pages, which is what I try to share all the time. And for the last, I don't know, 29 months or so, or whatever it's been, I've been ripping that sucker apart. I know you guys can't see all those books back there. This one's fresh and hot off the press. They're all very lovely, and the work that I do is real. It's not a beautiful mind, crazy, schizophrenic lady that wants to make Prince God. It ain't that. This is real. And I'm trying to share it with you guys. So based on all that, when I was in the heavenlies, I stood, and I think, I don't know if it was before he showed himself to me as Prince, because I saw him as like I've said before, like a machine man. He was part of the galaxies. He was on a big white throne chair with angels. It's very, very hard to remember, and I don't want to misquote because I can't remember it on the spot. I've described it in other videos. Um, he definitely wasn't looking fully human and like Prince all the time, but he did come to me looking like that, and that's when we walked and talked, and he showed me my holographic life after memories, which, I mean, it was from the time I was born to my childhood at school, and they all my memories were on like these wavy reels, and it was all like holographic. So what he was telling me was that our world that we know as reality is a lot more illusionary, a lot more Almeta Shikra. It's a world of illusions. A lot of philosophers and people like to say that, but people never really know what it means. But it's because the creator created, and then the others were allowed to put this, illusion on it. Because the creator had to hide himself so that we would look for him. I mean, who are we to have him just give himself to us and his benefits and love? You definitely need to earn it. He gives it freely, but still you should want to earn it, is my opinion. So I wanted to earn it, and I wanted to thank him. And so, anyway, the illusionary world, you guys, it's like, we think that it's real. And yes, there's a table and a chair. And yes, you're watching me on YouTube and it's there and you can touch it. But what I mean is beyond that. The world of when we look up and see the blue sky and think that's where it ends. And you can't see the foggy haze, the spooky electric that's been created around us, kind of like blowing a bubble and putting the world in it a little bit. There's like an illusion around it. And it had to do with the way that the creator had to separate himself from us so that he could then show himself to us, which he's going to do very soon, which is why I'm here introducing him to the world. But anyway, you guys, in the afterlife space place, the, the, the memories that have been coming on me a lot more have to do with the way that we as human beings, we see our hands and, we are flesh and bone and everything, but we're a lot more programmed than we think. We have this free will, obviously, but I can't tell you, it's hard to put words when you're trying to explain from one place to another, but it is kind of matrixy. It has to do with the fact that our souls are so much more than what we see and how they're connected to the constellations, space, how we each have a thumbprint of our very own souls on our. I explained this before, but in case you missed it, picture the Earth, the globe like we know it, right? And then around it, there's an electromagnetic field, and then the creator, and then there's like the Milky Way and stuff like that. And the creator took me up above all that, and we looked down on it, and he showed me how each of us have like a thumbprint of our soul and right where we're supposed to be. He has things so orchestrated, like he has me in Michigan, right where I'm supposed to be. The people that I know, they're right where they're supposed to be. You're right where you're supposed to be, believe it or not. Things are that orchestrated. And obviously, he made me to die in July 20th of 2010. And that's why, I mean, I never really feared death, but no longer do I ever, because I mean, I know where my soul went, and I know what he told me. I know where I'm going again, and I know where I want you guys to go. But the point is, like, what is the point? People can accept that, yes, our creator is otherworldly, but why on earth did he show himself as Prince Rogers Nelson? Well, that, to the best of my memory, is because each generation, because we're reincarnated, okay, each generation, our generation from 1776 to current, it's been 246 years. You can say my grandpa was in the Civil War and he walked barefoot here or there or this or that, but nobody knows what was going on back then because you can't touch it, feel it, see it, or whatever. So, yes, the time existed, and yes, we were here, but before that, we were souls here before. And each time you like die, your memory gets erased, and you have to come back based on what you did before. And somehow, you guys, when I was there in the heavenlies, he told me that something had gone bad. I'm not sure what. I think it has to do with the MK Ultra programming. One second. And that's where the Prince investigation itself comes in, because why would he be the creator? It's a little bit hot in here. Why would he be showing himself as Prince Rogers Nelson to the world? It's because our generation, you guys, has been broke down. That's why I use the song Breakdown. A generation has been broke down by cinema. We've also been taught by cinema, but cinema, think about it. The word is Cinema, but spell it Sinema. Then it's cinema. And, you know, our world of illusions, our world of propaganda, our world of news, north, east, west, south, they have you covered from absolutely every angle, you guys. People, I think, are, what I was told is a lot of people's egos don't allow them to think that we live in a world where politicians and NWO KKK could actually control the world like that, nor would they do that to people. A lot of people are more woke and they know that they would. But the people still rushing out there to vote and shaking flags and doing this and doing that and thinking that any Build Back Better 666 Biden is going to save you, or Trump is going to save you, or Barack Obama is going to save you. You guys, they're on the same side of the coin. They're all, it's a big control occult factory. And we are the pawns. It's just like a big chessboard to them, which is why the Illuminati uses the chessboards in their videos and things like that, because we're just, we're disposable. Now, I'm just saying, our job is not to focus on the negative, because that just raises the negative vibe in the world. But it's to understand that the creator told me that there's a secret in the world, and that is why the Gaia channel, Gaia, you guys, I explained this on my videos on TikTok. They're much shorter if you like shorter. It's the giant. It's the Merovingian giant that King David faced. It's the Merovingian family. It's actually why I live in Michigan, because Michigan has to do with that too. It has a lot to do with my family names and why I'm able to hear this. In fact, I want to show you guys something real quick. 2 seconds. My hands are dry. Sorry. Take a look at this. I want to explain it to you. Up at the top is the word music. Okay? MSC. I took the vowels and put them over the side. So if you take the vowels of music, it's you and I. You know how Prince would say, Prince Rogers Nelson, he said, I am music. Okay? So anyway, I am music. Now, my maternal family name is Miske. Right here, you guys. Miske. So it's just one letter away, CK, from the word music. It's Miske. That was my maternal family name. The other maternal family name was Klein, Cline. Both Miske and Klein, you take the I and the E out. My other paternal family name is Pride, Pride, of which if you take the vowels out, I and the E, you have I and E, which in gematria, the IE, capital, lowercase, numeric. The IE becomes 19, or pi, okay, which continues, I explain elsewhere, which has to do with the last name Pride, and the combination of, I don't know, man, this bloodline that I am that allows me to hear these things, the reason that the creator can use me as a vessel, it has to do with what my soul has done in the passed. Like I said, you guys, I'm not coming here to be like, I'm coming here to do a job that's very uncomfortable for me, but I want you to believe me. So, again, for the last year and a half, I've been trying to make these videos and explain it, otherworldly stuff in all kinds of different ways. So, the reason that he showed himself to the world as Prince Rogers Nelson was because obviously he foresaw the future and created the future, which is the now, because he is the ever present now, which is the reason for the song now, which is the opposite of the NWO. Anyway, he said that because obviously the future was pre-planned, he, in the beginning with the contracts, he enslaved his intellectual property to the others, which is why he wrote slave. And in the beginning, it has to do with, when I say in the beginning, I mean like Adam and Eve and the whole reincarnation sex situation that has traveled down through time, and is sex has just really done things to the world that you guys wouldn't believe. It's so it's godly, and we use it to procreate, and that's a gift and everything, you guys. But the other aspects of it have been, if you knew what porno and I'm not just talking about the women, I'm talking about the spilled, wasted seed that is the life force of humankind. I'm talking about, man, you got to stop. You got to stop with the sexual filth. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's everything that you do that is degrading, and everything that you do under your blankets or with your whomever and whatever, you're taking the creator with you, and it brings very horrendous things into the world. So what I'm trying to get at is the more pure you can be, the better. And I'm going to move on. So please try to be pure for yourself and for others. If you can be, it make the world a lot brighter place. Anyway, because he saw the future, he knew that he was going to be broke down. He was enslaved both sexually, intellectually. He showed himself to me, you guys, on it was like when I was in the Life After Life, he was used as like a medical subject. He'd been stuck with needles, and I explained the pharmacology with Andrew Kornfeld and Howard Kornfeld and all of that, and the Illuminati MK Ultra practices of cloning. Again, I know I skim, but you got to catch up all the videos. It's because the ultimate MK Ultra monarch programming that everybody knows about is here in America, which is MK, because you trade out the C and the K. And it's not only what they were doing on him, it's what they do on us, you guys. It's why big pharma is what it is. It's pharmacology. It's they've been experimenting with hypnosis and cloning. You guys, I've done so much research, and you know what I was horrified to find out? You know, it makes sense, but these undercover agencies, these MKKKK ultra suckers that we're talking about, they even go so far as to have diet centers like Jenny Craig. Pardon, my mouth is so dry. And what they would do is, because those people that are overweight or more controllable, or come in to see a dietitian or this or that, they're more susceptible to mind control. And so the monarch slaves that would be picked out, they would get them, you know, from a lot of the weight loss places, and a lot of unexpected places like that, you guys. And again, I don't say these things to like freak you out. It just kind of all goes together, because the ultimate cloning MK thing was to clone the creator's intellectual property, put it in another person that looked just like him, and then introduce him to the world as, well, what they wanted to do was make the prince the one that they said that the world was a Kingdom Hall participant. And if you guys wonder why I don't call it a J witness, it's because that word that starts with a J in English, it isn't supposed to be said. It's illegal and irreverent to use in Hebrew, and yet they use it every single day and fling it around. It's like slapping him in his face. So the K-Hall folks, They wanted to clone the property, put the intellectual property into another, and introduce him to the world either as the savior and or, from the way I remember it, introduce the one the world knew as Prince Rogers Nelson, the one they want to make nameless, as an antichrist alien. And how they were going to do that, I'm not sure. You guys, has to do with holographics, and how when his, and this is super important, how when his intellectual property was enslaved, and the way that I told you when I was in my life after life, you see your memories on like wavy holographics. It's like film in layers upon layers. So when bad things were done with the creator's intellectual property, they had a way of like showing it and then being able to point the finger at him and say, look what your creator did. Look what your little freaky Antichrist creator did. And I'm not sure if that's all going to go down that way now, because I'm talking to the world the way that it is. I don't care if y'all think I'm crazy. I don't care if it happens tomorrow or next week or 6 months from now or 6 years from now, because just like the one the world knows is Prince Rogers Nelson was always ahead of his time, so is this information. But it ain't going to be long, you guys. So that's why I'm doing it, is to get you to understand that we've been duped, bamboozled, hoodwinked, took, lied to, all for control and money and greed and power and sex and all things horrendous. And just like Snow White, sold a version of the Bible where Eve bit an apple and they were expelled from the garden. But, some dude named Jesus came along and now we're all good. Doesn't that sound a little childish to you guys when you really stop and ponder it? Have you done your own research to know about all of the things, the cuneiform writing, the Anunnaki, all of the things that come before the Sumerian and Babylonian Bible? There are things out there that maybe you don't want to admit that you haven't taken the time to look into. You just want to call people like me crazy because I'm telling you someone that stood on stage and was to the world, me, I'm not going to say, because looks don't matter, but he got our attention. He looked the way he looked because he wanted our attention. He wanted to make us look, because in the end, when you're standing there talking to him and he's just standing there all loving and compassionately waiting to hear about what you did to find him and what you did to help your sisters and brothers and humankind, regardless of what you knew, you're responsible for looking, you guys, and I'm just trying to help you find what's real. Again, like I said, what I don't really understand is so much is the way that we are all very, very controllable in a way, in a mental way, in ways that I can't really explain. It's like, just like being like a computer. You're programmable, and you are what you eat. You are what you put into your phone, your computer. You are what you put your time into. And this is what I put my time and energy and life into. And it's something I'm trying to give you guys. It's gonna happen. Nobody, Abraham, his wife, Sarah, none of them, they didn't know in that day and age what was going to happen to them. They didn't know that they were going to be written about. You know what I mean? They were just going about living their lives. I wouldn't know any of this stuff either, unless he had brought me there to die, to explain these things to me so that I could explain them to the world and tell you guys that this redemption time is coming very, very soon. I always come on here and I'm not afraid to make mistakes, because I'm not trying to be something I'm not. All these numbers and all these things and all these visions and all of this information still leads me to believe that something will happen on my birthday, which is the 19th. It has to do with my soul connection with the Creator, as well as George Mario Bergoglio, the Pope. the dates he was elected to office, my son. It has to do with redeeming the world, you guys. And that's just what we're going to do, because what I was shown in heaven was that there wasn't, I'm not really sure what was going on, but there was not supposed to be, the creator was real mad and he wanted to like ruin the world and just be done with it, because we were very undeserving and sour faced and depressed and just a bunch of insolent, deviant brats from the way I remember it. And when I stood there and I answered all the questions and I fought with the fiery angels for this information, and they still are probably mad about the fact that I'm telling it to you guys, because a lot of us are unworthy and we need to start being worthy to understand the depth of the honor of the creator sharing something like this with the world, something he's never ever done before. Part of the reason he showed himself as Prince is because he knew that in the future we were going to be on computers and on at home. That's all his plan. But it's like his lyrics, computer blue, I'm in computer, when it's over, press save, from Pope. He says it all the time. And he exposed himself that way so that we would look and listen. And that is also because the ultimate plan, when he shows himself again, we're going to know who he is. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to be able to say, oh, I didn't see him, or I didn't know who he was, and then you guys, you're going to have to, if you know me and if you've seen my videos or you've been my friend or not been my friend, whatever the case may be, he's going to ask you if you had heard from me and if you listened to me. Or I'm not telling you to change your ways because of what I'm saying. I'm telling you what I experienced, what I heard, how it affected my life, and how it can affect your life. I trust and believe, and I know that your soul will tell you the truth, especially if you go and watch some of the other videos, and listen to all the lies on the investigation and stuff like that I've been able to expose. So I wanted to touch on the investigation today, but I try not to make these videos too long because I know, hey, Audrey, that's why I don't look at the comments, because then it gets me confused. But it's time to wake up is what I'm trying to say, you guys. The creator, he needs friends too. He was in this place called Marome. It's the highest place in heaven where I was able to climb to and go. And he was there all alone. And it was like playing hide and seek, and nobody looked for him anymore. And that's what the nation has become. I'm not trying to be insulting to anybody, but I know a lot of people who have Bibles in their house that just sit there and collect dust. There's a reason they're in every hotel drawer across the United States. It is the satanic, at least the New Testament part. That's what I'm saying, you guys. Let me touch on that again. If you haven't done your research, there's something called Torah. It is like the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And then there's the 24 books of the prophets. I don't know them all by heart. It's a different, well, obviously the first, they're not different. This one that I have is Hebrew on one side and English on the other. You guys, you can get it at emunah.com, EMUNAH, emunah.com. It doesn't include the New Testament, you guys. So don't you have to ask yourself why the original people, the Hebrew people that everyone who studies the Torah agrees that God chose to give his word to, but then, hey, we're just going to rewrite it in 1611 and kill people and stab people and rape them and kill every little baby that was born and throw them off of mountains and do all kinds of things just to change the religion in the world. Why? For power, sex, greed, and money, obviously, you guys. So it's very, very simple. It's very simple. It's as simple as I'm saying it is. You just have to take that simplicity into your mind and grasp that we've all been tricked and duped, and they attempted to separate us from our creator. However, he told me that he shaped me and molded me for 39 years, specifically since I was 13 and I saw Purple Rain. Obviously, before that, he shapes and molds and orchestrates everything to be completely fixated. Let me get that, you guys, because I'm proud. I'm proud to say If you wanted to go to if you had cancer, God forbid, and you needed to go to a doctor, would you go to one that's been studying for 39 years? Or would you go with one that's been studying for 4 years? You would come to the doctor that's been studying 39 years. I stalked, I hunted, I listened, the music is like, it's like drugs in my soul and in my blood, and it always was. And now I know why, because I was being molded to come and tell the world who he is, based on who my soul is, and its intent to find him and share him with the world, not just to find him and keep him to myself, because you don't keep a love this awesome to yourself. If you do, you have some serious issues. But I understand there's a lot of pastors and so-called fathers and rabbis and child predators and bishops and whatever they want to call themselves, first ladies, first wives, whatever. Stop with the titles. Do your hit body do and talk to the creator like he's your best friend, and he will show himself to you, and you can start making miracles in your own life. You guys start doing, it's called teshuvah. This is the thing, and I want to mention too, when the creator shows himself, which is going to be very shortly, the teshuvah that you do after that, it won't count as much as the teshuvah that you do now. And that just means like repentance. What does that mean for those that don't know? You don't say fancy words. You don't make up stuff, and don't ever lie. You can't lie to the creator. You can't pretend. It just, man, when you stand before him, it's humiliating and all loving and awe-inspiring at the same time. But don't ever lie, because lies can't exist where he exists. And so each time you tell a lie, when redemption comes and holy souls are redeemed in that layer of worlds, you'll become redeemed for all the time that you spent doing good and right things. And I'm not just talking about reading your Bible and all that. I'm talking about opening doors for people and doing unto others. Charity, just all kinds of things, as long as, and in the things where you weren't with him and you separated yourself from him and you were, slinging seed and doing dirt and selling drugs. And if you do teshuvah on that and you go to the creator and you truly apologize because you want to be sorry because you are sorry, then it erases everything you've ever done just that one time. Okay, it just does. It's that simple. You don't need to go into a little booth with a pervert on the other side of the wall wearing a white collar, who wants to take your little boy to summer camp. No, you go and talk right to the creator, and you tell him what you did wrong. You ask for him to teach you to not do it again. And then if you do it again, you guys, you get up and do it again and pray again. Don't ever allow yourself to be so separated from him by all of your guilt and husks that you feel like you can't go talk to him. Unfortunately, some people are probably at that level because they're pretty skeevy. And the more skeevy you allow yourself to get, the less you feel worthy to go to the creator. But the fact of the matter is, what I'm saying is true, and he doesn't matter. He doesn't care how skeevy you are, you guys, because you make him skeevy with you, and you need to stop. We need to make this world a lighter, brighter place. And as I was saying in the beginning, I want to jump back to something. When I was on TikTok and I saw these people, they're like hunters. They're sitting there. I'm not saying that all people who are trying to sell the Christianity notion of John 3:16, I'm not saying they're all bad, but what I'm saying is there is a big population of master race robotoids, soulless ones that have been tortured to be exactly who they are right now in this world, and they're making a play for souls. And so they're trying to get the unsaved saved by John 3:16. They're trying to make people feel stressed out. They're trying to make people feel suicidal. When you watch these videos that are on TikTok, they're satanic, dude. And so pay attention to what your kids are doing. Stop letting your 2-year-old go out there and shake what her mama gave you. What's wrong with you? Those are babies. Let them be babies. Stop being influenced by this evil evil world that we live in, you guys. Almata Shikra is what it's called. It's what it is, and it's time to wake them up. Okay, I'm done kind of trying to pussyfoot around the fact that we have a creator, that he's talked to me, that he's using me as a vessel, and I'm trying to tell you guys in every way that I can. For those of you that came here expecting to hear about the Prince investigation, I'm sorry. But what that is, real quickly, I'll touch on, and then I'm going to go, is the Illuminati and the KKK, the one that have these robotoid people and soulless ones in place to bring in and infiltrate and indoctrinate like they do with school systems and religions. It's because there's a soul snatch going on right now. They want people to turn to the dark side. They want you to believe that you are your own creator, that you are your own power, that you are your own everything. And granted, the creator is in you, but you ain't your own anything. But you got to protect yourself, your loved ones. It's a big deal, you guys, and it's coming soon. What's making me really uncomfortable was every time I leave here, I'm like, man, you should have said this and you should have said that. The KKK, the bigger the front, the bigger the cover. It's why the words deep cover. The deeper their cover, the more ecstatic they are, the more they enjoy playing because they hide right in plain sight. It's like Walt Disney, okay, selling sex on little kid videos. So the Paisley Park cover was the deep cover. It was like the biggest cover ever. It was in the center of the Midwest. Pharmaceuticals were being slung. Pharmacology was being practiced. The tour bus that's parked in the back has the Oregon license plate because of the Oregon cloning facility. As I mentioned before, Andrew Kornfeld and his father, if he is his father, Howard, are practicing pharmacology, you guys. It's why all the drugs that were planted around Paisley Park and sold as if they were princes. I've been talking too long to get into the investigation right now, but the point is, I always refer to Paisley Park as the other White House because of the cover that was going on, the cloning, the medication, the hypnosis, the Natalia Phillips and Mariah Brown and Marone Bakure, all the lookalikes, Kirk Johnson, all the people that were being used. It's because the creator didn't really have, and well, he was being broken down, and because he's like a machine man kind of thing, he used clones all the time. Probably even why he's using me. Maybe I'm more of a vessel than I know. In fact, I know I am, but I just don't know how. So, but the cover, you guys, it's all the people that were put in play over there. Oh, here, let me say this before I go. I'm telling you, it's hard to stay on track. But I've said it several times in my videos that Prince committed suicide. I write about it in my essays and my paper, and this is the way that I remember it. And then I really am going to go. He told me that he foresaw a plan of the others who know of his alien nature, who were going to come on, I believe, 421, because it spells out Bob George. You have to watch my gematria and TikTok videos to understand. And they were going to do some kind of crazy occult ceremony that was going to allow them to harness, I don't know, somehow not only his not only his intellectual property, but his physical nature. And again, this is very difficult, so bear with me. I wrote about it in my essay. He showed me this vision of this machine that would like open up his skull or head, and all these things would be attached to his head, and it would be like that for all time, like a vegetable. Maybe that's the way it was, or that's the way it was going to be. I'm not sure. And so I said, and then they were going to expose the other prince as the creator, the whatever. And so then I said, no, you can't let that happen or whatever. And I can't remember all the details, but that's why he told me that and we discussed that he would end up self-inducing the fentanyl. So the reason that the investigation was such a big a fluster bump, is because they probably they already had a story planned, I'm sure. But then when they got there and found they couldn't cover their tracks, and then they couldn't charge anybody with the crime, and then all of that investigation became public information, because by him committing suicide, they couldn't charge anybody with the crime. It would make the whole thing go public, and then it would bust out this whole thing, and it would explain what I'm explaining. It would give it a background, a back history. You know what I mean? So, um, it's true. It's why the medical examiner's paperwork says self-induced fentanyl. It's why uh, Judith Hill and all the other people were interviewed voluntarily. It's why they were allowed to drive their own cars to the police station. It's why um, Chris Gaither being interviewed is talking about how it would be mission impossible for somebody to come in and switch out all his medication. Like I said, I'm not going to talk too deep about the investigation, you guys, but it was self-induced fentanyl, and it was to make it so that this information could go public, so that we could all talk about it and become aware of it as human beings. Because unlike Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson or Kurt Cobain or, all the others, you guys, I'm not just somebody who is trying to turn nothing into something. It is what I say it is. It's biblical. I'm a holy soul. I like to believe you're a holy soul, and that your holy soul will know the truth. Um, it just is what it is, you guys. He showed himself in a way that, because he knows what was coming in the future, he knows how he's going to show himself, and then he's going to say, "And what about my vessel, Elizabeth? Did you listen to her?" So I want nothing from you. I come here stumbling on my words, sweating in my white jacket, to try to save your souls, man. That's what I'm trying to do. And my TikTok at the Pride Piper. Get this, you guys. Go to TikTok and type in the Pride Piper. The funny thing is, and I've mentioned this before, there's nothing that you can look up with the name Pride that doesn't include a rainbow. Again, I mean no offense, because I love all people, but I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. When you go to TikTok and put in Pride Piper, all that pops up is a bunch of, rainbow videos. So it ain't cool. It's not fair. And you need to put the Pride Piper and go watch. Man, it's taken off. I teach with lyrics over there, you guys. I know a lot of people don't appreciate a long ramble. I teach about how deep the lyrics are, how political, how he exposed, the Merovingian 13th Illuminati bloodline, which includes Pope Jorge. The fact that they're trying to converge right now, the Catholic with Islam, and become like this whole big Chrislam thing. Like I said, it's a soul snatch. And I don't know. Go watch the monologue of the war by Prince. He talks about the RFID chip in your neck. And those things were shown to me when I was in the life after life, but I can't remember them well enough to speculate on them, though they were mentioned to me. And the fact that it's called an RFID chip has to do also with the fact that in Israel, it's the IDF army. It's this whole big thing where the creator told me, in essence, that he created this situation because of who I am and because of who he is. He knew that I would be able to explain it to the world, no matter how hard and how long it took. He trusts me to do it, and I trust you guys to know that it's true, because awkward as it is, I'm doing it with all my soul, because I want you to know him. I want you to know his love, and I want you to know what I know. Unfortunately, he can't show that love without breaking us. The more that we're broken, you guys, the more that the light gets in. It just is true. I've been broken a whole heck of a lot in my life, and so has my family. But word up. I know you've been broken too, people, but have faith, because that truly is how the light gets in. if you were never broken, if you never lost anything or anyone, or never lost your health, or you'd probably be pretty pompous and arrogant. You probably think that you have the world in the palm of your hand. You probably think you can buy your way out of situations like that guy at the end of Titanic that tried to buy his way onto a lifeboat. It ain't going to happen. There is no dishonesty where the creator is. There is no need for money where the creator is. It's all truth. He is truth. And when I stood in heaven and I said all I wanted was the truth my whole entire life, because I saw so much craziness and dishonesty around me, yet inside my heart I could feel goodness and light, and I couldn't figure out why. So I said I wanted the truth, and when he exposed himself to me as truth, well, I was super excited, but again, I didn't remember it for 10 years, and I've been trying to share it with you guys for the last 18 months, and I'm never going to stop. Awkward as it is. I appreciate you listening. I have so much more to say, but again, the cat, and I'm sweaty. And Audrey, thank you for watching from the hospital. I love you. Anybody else that was watching, it's an hour. I know sometimes I start to say things and then I don't finish. I'm sorry. Like I said, it's hard to put things into words from that place to this place. It's telepathy, it's otherworldly, but it makes you shiny and free. And that's who I want you to be. Okay? I'm gonna go. Toodles.